Hi everyone, it's Monica, and welcome back to Tailor-Made Cards for You. Well, a few weeks ago I was contacted by a company called Arteza, and they asked me if I wanted to try out their product. And in exchange for trying out some of their product, I agreed to do a review. Now, even though they did supply me with this product, the review is my opinion. So they're not paying me or they're not requiring me to say anything specific. This is just my opinion. So the couple of products that I tried out today are the water brush set, and then I also tried out the real brush pens, which are also a water-based ink. Now these brush pens are probably like some of the other ones that are out on the market today, but what I really liked about these pens are a couple of things. Number one, it comes in a 6-pack and you get a very thin nib as well as a more of a paintbrush nib. And they work just like all of the other water brush pens. You just unscrew them, you can pour water in them, screw it back up, and then there's the red part in the middle that you can squeeze to have the water come through. Now I did test out these brushes and they work really well. They are probably similar to the Pentel brushes that are out there, but the big difference is the price point. When I looked at the Pentel brushes, I think you can get one for about $4.50 to $4.75. But this 6-pack, I believe, went for about $8. And that is tremendous savings for the same type of product. Now, I couldn't find anything different as far as a comparison. I do have the Pentel brush as well, but these brushes worked just the same, if not even better. When I squeezed the middle red portion to release the water flow came out really nicely, and I was really impressed with it. So this is something that I would recommend simply because of the price point and the fact that you get 6 brushes for about the price you would pay for 2 of the Pentel brushes. All right. So the next thing that I reviewed, or I should say I tested out, was a 24 set of the Real Brush pens. Now simply, these are water brush pens, and they come in a variety of colors as well as different size packs. I got the 24 set pack, but I want to say that they also come in 48. They come in a set of 96 and also a set of 12. So I got a good variety. I was able to try out a set of 24, and the colors ranged all the way from like your yellows. I got some oranges, reds, browns. It was a good variety, so I was really happy with the set that I got. Now, when I color, I typically work with my Copic colors, so water brush pens are somewhat unfamiliar to me. I have used them in the past, but they're not really my comfort zone. The nibs are very flexible, so when you're coloring, your nib does move. But what I thought was really cool about this pen is it was really pointy, so you can get a thin line, and then you can also get a thicker line by putting it on its side. So it colored up really nicely. Also, each pen did have a number on it as well as a color. So if you had to reference your colors, you were able to do that as well. So being a watercolor pen, I wanted to test how the watercolor would blend out, because the way that I anticipated using these is I would color up an image and then I would take a water brush and then I would blend it out to get a more subtle tone, kind of like I do with my Copics when I'm blending. But I found when I put the ink right on the paper and then I added water to it, it really didn't blend too much. It really stayed dark. But when I actually added water first and then took the pen to it, you can see I get a more of a watercolor base, and that seemed to work a little bit better. So I don't know if it was just not being familiar with the pens or how they actually worked, but if you're used to coloring first and then adding water, you really can't pull the color out as well. But if you do add water to the paper first and then use your ink, you can see that it does react to the water and it gives you more of a watercolor reaction, kind of what you would expect with paints. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to try was the pen on different types of cardstock. So I did pick a watercolor cardstock first, which is the one I'm working on right now. And then I chose a thicker cardstock, and I embossed 2 of them, and then one of them I didn't emboss because I wanted to see if the ink would bleed or how it would react using embossing powder and then also not using embossing powder. So as you can see, the colors are really vibrant, and I really did like that. And I colored one of the leaves, and again I added water after I added the color, and you do see a little bit of blending outside of the lines because I did pull it out a little bit. But then the second petal, I went ahead and I added water. And you may not be able to see it, but it did look more like a watercolor by adding the water first and then coloring it with the ink. So that was kind of what I expected, being that I had already tested it on the other side. And the next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to test how it would blend. I did choose a yellow because I figured if I added yellow to red, I would expect to see an orange. And I did see a little bit of an orange, but not really. So as far as the blendability, it didn't blend as much as I anticipated it to blend. But again, I'm not an expert on watercolors, so I don't know if they work like Copics. I mean, I would anticipate that they don't because they aren't alcohol based. But when I blended the two colors together, they didn't blend as much as I thought they would, but I still got a real nice vibrant color. Okay, so after I tested out the red and the yellow, I did want to test out a few other colors just to see if they were as bright as the two colors that I've already tested. And I also wanted to see how the darker colors would react with the lighter colors. The one thing I have to say I really liked about these pens is the pointy nib. It enabled me to actually do some drawing and some outlining, and that was really nice. A lot of times when I'm coloring in my images, I like to do outlines. So I was easily able to outline my images because the nibs were so pointy. Also, the pointy nib enabled me to actually draw lines. As you can see with these flowers, I was able to draw some stems really easily, or even if you wanted to do grass. Again, I'm no freehand artist, so excuse the grass here, but I just wanted to give a test to see what I could actually do with them. So with the nibs being so pointy, not only could I outline, but I could also draw lines, and then I could also write if I so chose to write my own sentiment, or maybe I wanted to write a word. You're able to do that with these pens. Now the pens worked really well on the watercolor paper. Again, that paper is meant for watercolors, so the more that you add color to it, the more saturated your paper is going to get, and the watercolor paper held up really nicely to that. So the next thing I wanted to try is I wanted to try just some heavy weight cardstock. Not everybody has watercolor paper on hand, and sometimes we go towards our heavyweight cardstock, so I wanted to see how that would work with these pens as well. All right, so coloring the flowers, I really saw no difference between the watercolor paper and the heavy cardstock. Even though these are water-soluble pens, the paper didn't warp. It held up really nicely, and I was overall pretty happy with it. So I wanted to go a little bit further, and I wanted to see exactly what the paper would do if I added more water to it and then added some ink for the background. I know a lot of times with watercolors, we like to create skies and we like to create maybe some grass or some background. So I wanted to go ahead and give it a try. So I added some water to the paper with my bigger brush, and then I just simply sketched the background with some of my inks. Now I'm trying different colors because again, I wanted to test the blendability again. So I went ahead and I added some blue, and then I added some more water, and then I'm going to come in with a yellow and add that as well. And what was interesting enough is when I actually sketched it out, you can see that more of the green did come out. So I was really kind of surprised and happy to see that there was some blending going on. So in this instance, if you wanted to create some sort of an ocean scene, or maybe a sunset or something, you can see that there is some blendability going on here. So I was really happy to see that. And then I wanted to take it a step further and see if I could blend a little bit more. So I came in with a brown tone and I added that to the yellow. And even though there wasn't a lot of color blending going on, I still was pretty impressed with the sketchability of these pens. It kind of reminded me of the ocean a little bit. And I was really kind of happy to see that I'm able to do a little bit more with these pens, not just color in an image, but actually sketch something out as well. So if I wanted to add some color to my background, I think these pens would be great for that as well. So overall, I think I was pretty happy with the pens. Again, I am a novice at watercoloring, so really the only thing I was testing for was the ease of using it. So if you're a beginning artist, I think that these watercolor pens are a good starting point for you. You're able to color in your images, and you're able to get a feel for actual watercoloring before you dive in and maybe drop some big bucks on some of those watercolor markers that are out there. And then, of course, the 6-pack water brush set I think was a really good product as well. As I said before, you're going to get 6 brushes. You're going to get from very thin nibs to a little bit thicker like a paintbrush. And then the price point is really, really good. So if you do use water brush pens, I think that is a very good product to get your hands on. I have a video coming out in the future where I actually added alcohol to the water brush, and then I worked with some of my alcohol inks, and I was really happy with the results that I got. So you're going to be able to see that video and another use of these water brush pens in another video to come. Okay, so I hope that you found this information useful, and if you are interested in checking out any of these products or some of the other products that Arteza has at their shop, I will leave a link in the list below for you to check out. I plan on doing other product reviews in the future, so if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you head out. And feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought about these 2 products. All right, everybody, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again next time.